Right. Well, I thought I'd mix things up and do my first ever anime review. Well, animes and TV shows, not animated movies and all that. And since I have watched it repeatedly before, I'd figure I'd do Code Geass. First thing I will say is that the music is pretty outstanding. It really stands out in the show. And I felt it fit the moods of each scene very well. Character-wise, Lelouch would have to be my favorite. And he's very sympathetic as far as his reasons for starting the war with his home country. And you can sort of understand him. Colin, I would have to say, would be my favorite character from the show. He does take part in fan service, but what female anime character doesn't? It doesn't detract from her character. That's the most important part. Though I have to say, she does become a little of a disappointment in the second season. But that mainly has to do with, like, she doesn't have any actual challenge, really, in mech fights. Sorry. There's no real challenge for her in that. Plus, she spends most of the second season. Oh yeah, spoilers, by the way. She spends most of the second season captured. And that was kind of disappointing. As far as the characters that don't take part in the war, like Shirley and Millie and them, Shirley I always found annoying. I didn't really like her as a character. Millie was probably the funniest character in the show. And Riddle didn't really stand out to me. Suzaku is, without a doubt, the worst character in the show. Every time he is on screen is just annoying. And actually kind of really boring, which is odd since he's involved in almost as many battles as Lelouch and Colin are, but he's just boring to watch on screen. And I find his overall philosophy just stupid and retarded. It's doesn't make any sense to me. As far as battles go, they are the most enjoyable part, especially in the first season. The strategies that Lelouch use are very well thought out and cool to see come to fruition. The mechs are okay until season 2, when they come. It's like the show suddenly decided it was going to copy Gundam 100% and make the mechs like planet-destroying monstrosities. You know, it's like that really was a disappointment for me because it takes away strategy. Really, the strategy's not as important anymore as Suzaku or Colin wiping out an entire army single-handedly, or the Knights of the Round doing that. It really distracts. It really messes with the show. Really, I have to say, second season is the worst out of the show. Like, really, the worst out of the 2 seasons. Like, the war itself is the most enjoyable part of the show for me. But the high school scenes aren't terrible. They're not boring. That's where most of the humor in the show comes from. And season 2, really, I didn't like this high school season. Season 2, I'm not a big fan of the second season, though it is redeemed with the ending. It does, like, the ending is one of the best anime endings ever, and that is one thing I will not spoil if you haven't watched the show yet. Honestly, I have to say, I enjoyed it a lot, tremendously. Like, one of my favorite anime shows. Though it does have flaws. Like, no anime show I've watched is perfect. I would have to say that one of my favorite characters has to be Jeremiah Goldwald. I don't know. I really liked him. He was probably the most enjoyable character in the second season for me. He's just the badass cyborg type thing, you know? It's like, and he had like one of the coolest nightmares in the game. Well, I just thinking, I mean, in the show. Please ignore that. Ogi, I didn't really care much. I didn't really care much for most of the Black Knights, except for when Toto joins. I found him be a pretty good second in command sort of thing. I have to say that Geass is the show to watch if you want the strong female characters, really. Well, some. We're not gonna... Nina is completely worthless as a character and serves no purpose to the show except to annoy the fan base. I don't know anybody that actually likes her as a character. Anyways, if it was just season 1 that I was reviewing, I would have given it 5 out of 5. However, with season 2 coming into play, I'm gonna have to give it a 3. It's just the bad parts in season 2 are completely forgivable. Really, they're not forgivable, unforgivable. And the strategies really took a downward spiral in the second season, not just because of the mechs, but the creativity behind the strategies weren't as up to par as I had come to expect from Code Geass. And the characters that I did enjoy in the first season, most of them I did not enjoy in the second season. And that's really bad for an anime show. Anyway. 3.